Good afternoon everyone. Welcome back to laser technology sessions. So in the last class we have discussed about our first laser, rubidium laser. So we have discussed the energy levels, how the transition happens, the pumping transition happens from 4A to level to 4F1 and 4F2. So the required wavelengths, and then you have a metastable state of 3 milliseconds. So that gives you the lasing action from your metastable state to your ground state, that is 4A2. So you will get around 694.3 nanometers in one transition, and the other one is 692.9 nanometers other transition. Both will falls under the visible range. Our first laser falls in the visible range, so that color will be in the close to red color. And these are the parameters we have discussed in the last class. So then we move on to neodymium lasers. In these lasers there are different host materials. For example, in the neodymium lasers, you take the neodymium as a doping material, and you have a different host materials like YAG, yttrium aluminum garnet, and yttrium lithium fluoride, and also yttrium vanadium oxides. So these are different host materials. You dope this neodymium into it, so you will get the family of neodymium lasers. The typical doping of neodymium is almost like 1 atomic percentage. So we have seen the energy levels. So the YAG laser energy levels. So this mainly the lasing action will takes place in the neodymium atoms, not in the host material. Okay. So now the pumping wavelengths around 730 nanometers and 800 nanometers. You pump from the 4I9/2 energy level to the higher levels. The higher levels having a rapid decay time scales, so they will like almost instantaneously decays to these states. So these states is a kind of a metastable state with a lifetime of 230 microseconds. Okay, so then you have a transition. Once you have a population inversion, then with the stimulated emission you will get lasing action. So now the lasing action takes place at the wavelength of 1064 nanometers. And from this you don't have any radiative decay, so this decay will be non-radiative decay. So this transition is from 4F3/2 to 4I11/2. Now it's not actually a single line, it is actually degenerate state. When you apply electric field, that means when you send a photon, that creates interaction with your photon is nothing but a electromagnetic wave, so it creates electromagnetic field. So when these energy levels interact with your electric field, so this the degeneracy get lifted. So in principle you have multiple energy levels will take place. So you have degeneracy. So this each energy level will be split into number of energy levels. You have possible transitions, but the most prominent transition is 1064 nanometers. And also we know that with the cavity design, you can tune whatever the wavelength you want. So that within our hand, the wavelength tunability. But the cross sectional, the stimulated excitation cross section is more for the 1064 nanometers. Okay, so now this you see is a schematic diagram of a typical YAG laser system. Now as you see here, so this is your main crux of the laser. So where you have a lasing medium, so that is your YAG rod. Generally it is, the material is like a lengthy one, so in principle it will take maybe more than 5 to 8 centimeter. So this kind of a laser rod will be used in general in YAG lasers. So now these two or actually transparent for the wavelength at 1064, and also in the IR region these are actually transparent windows. Okay, so now this is your lasing medium. So then you see these yellow ones are flash lamps. So these flash lamps will excite the atoms you excite the atoms into excited state, and once you have a population inversion, you have a stimulated emission that will build up. This is one of the end of the cavity mirror. This is one end, and the other end will be here, and also this end is partially transmitting. That means it's a partially reflecting mirror. You have emission here. So now there is other components that will also play a role. For example, to have some safety shutters, because these are high power lasers. So if in general what happens in the laboratories, when someone opens the door, this shutter automatically closes down, so that your laser will not come out from the output ports. Okay, this kind of a designs will be placed for a security and safety reasons. And you see there is other two tubes here. These are actually water cooled. So as you know, this flash lamp energy, only 1 to 2% of energy only utilized for our lasing. The remaining whole energy will be get wasted. That will be form of the heat that may give a lot of heat to your lasing medium. So then you will destroy the lasing action. So to avoid that, we have to cool your laser rod as well as the assembly. Okay, that is where generally these lasers are cooled with the water chillers. So now you have a chiller will be continuously flowing a water, and it has a refrigerating unit, so that it always cool down by circulating the water along this chamber. Okay, so this is our lasing action takes place, and these are the end mirrors. So this end mirrors is nothing but this is your cavity, and this is your cavity length. Now once you have a fundamental mode, that is your Gaussian beam at 1064 nanometer. Okay, so as I mentioned, most of the lasers will design for the fundamental mode. More than 90 to 95% are the lasers available in the world are working on the Gaussian mode. Okay, so now once you get 1064 nanometer, now you have a separate unit that is called harmonic generator. So what happened means, you are come up with 1064. This laser, the fundamental wavelength is 1064 nanometer. Now this unit is called harmonic generator. It generates several harmonics. So that means it contains a nonlinear crystal. Once it passes through this, as you see the red light is passing through, that is at 1064 nanometer, then you are getting a green light, that is most famous 532 nanometer wavelength. Okay, so you are utilizing your nonlinear optics to convert your invisible light into visible light. Okay, so the nonlinear crystal should be maintained at certain humidity conditions and certain temperatures, and with the different angles. When you tune the angle, the percentage of conversion will change. You don't expect the conversion efficiency to 100%. What happens in principle, you cannot convert all the IR light or all the 1064 nanometer into 532 nanometer. There is always certain conversion threshold or conversion efficiency of the crystal. Okay, that gives you, for example, you are getting a 1 watt or 1 joule of the laser power. You may get 30% of conversion efficiency. You may end up with 300 milliwatt or 3 millijoule. But depending upon the repetition rate, your energy to your power will change. As we know, your power equals to energy per time. So you can convert using this energy and power units. So that way you can convert the wavelength. So now you come up with the one harmonic generator, so you will get 532. Now if you use one more harmonic generator here with a different nonlinear crystal, now this green light may convert into, this is second harmonic generation crystal and this will be third harmonic generation crystal. So now this third harmonic generation crystal, it will convert your wavelength into around 355 nanometers. Now you see, you come up with the 1064 nanometer. Now you are getting a different wavelengths, like SHG you have 532 nanometer, with the THG you will get 355 nanometer, and there is fourth harmonic generation, you will get 266 nanometers. Okay, say 266 nanometers in the UV light. So you are able to cover the different spectral lines from near IR to UV. So you have 1064 nanometers, 532 nanometers, 355 nanometers and 266 nanometers. You are able to cover the different spectral lines. This will be useful for the studying different research, different areas of the research, depending upon the usage of, for example, solar cells. Like people working on the solar cells, they use it to use around 355 or 266 nanometers to study their properties, and most of the research will focus on 532 nanometer, and for the biological samples they will use 1064 nanometers. So it has a wide variety of applications, and also we are able to generate huge powers. And also this is the, if you place a Q switching technique, this will give, this nanosecond laser will give you a nanosecond pulses. So that is 10 to the minus 9 seconds. Okay, so now what you generally do, so you will place a Q switching module inside the cavity so that you will block the beam to come out immediately. So it's not going to be a continuous laser. If this case, this is continuous laser, always it comes as a continuous laser. If you place a Q switching module inside the cavity, you will get a pulse laser. So the pulse laser in general, in the YAG lasers, the most famous ones are nanosecond lasers. Okay, so now you will be able to see here, now you can see three lasers here, three YAG lasers, and you can see only two colors, and the other one is invisible because that is operating at 1064 nanometer. This one is operating at 1064 nanometers, and these are all pulse lasers. Okay, so now you can see the gap between each pulse. See, this is your repetition rate within a time. See, for example, with your eye you can capture the pulse breakage, so the time gap between the pulse to pulse. And this is 532 nanometer, so because of the second harmonic generation, and this is around 355 nanometers. Okay, and because of the third harmonic generation. Okay, so these are all pulse lasers. By introducing a Q switching module in the laser cavity. So now this you can clearly see how each pulse is separated periodically, like that means the time gap is very precise. If you say 10 pulses per second, so 10 pulses per second means it has 10 hertz. The repetition rate of the laser is 10 hertz. If we say the repetition rate is 1 kilohertz, the laser 1 kilohertz repetition rate, that means that you have 1000 pulses, you convert into hertz into second, it's 1 over second. So that means you have 1000 pulses per second. Okay, so that is the lasers will operating at different repetition rates. So in principle, most of the nanosecond lasers in the NDIAG lasers, most of the NDIAG lasers, they operate at 10 hertz, and depending upon the customer or the people of interest, they can also tune the repetition rates. So this is mainly depending upon the electronic circuit they are going to use, because when to trigger the pumping, that will be controlled through your electronic ports. So when that is the way you can have a tunability of some repetition rate. So now if you see, this is actually a variety of NDIAG lasers. So to get high powers, so now if you see in this case, this is the pumping chamber. So where your NDIAG crystal and your flash lamps are always pumping to excite the atoms into excited state, and there is such a kind of units are two are there. Okay, two pumping chambers, so that you want more high powers, you can increase the number of chambers. Okay, and also there will be a focal cell. So this focal cell is nothing but a Q switching unit. So what exactly happens, it rotates the polarization when you apply electric field. You apply a voltage, so this will change the polarization. Now your laser is operating at certain polarization, so now it will change the polarization so that it will block the light inside the cavity. So that's why you will play a trick there. You block the light inside the cavity when you give a trigger pulse, or you give the command that when you want to release. So you can fix the timing each time when you want to release. Even you want to release it after 1 second or a millisecond time scale you want to release the power. So that can be designed through electronics. So that gives you a pulse laser with nanosecond pulse widths. And you can see here, so this is your harmonic generation unit. Okay, so this will give you different harmonic generations. That means they will keep a different types of crystals. Okay, so they will be that they will be optimized such a way that when you want a 532 nanometer, actually the crystal will be placed automatically through your computer automation. So then the crystal will be come in place through the beam line. So then will be your energy of 1064 nanometer will be converted with a certain efficiency into 532 nanometer. Now you see there are two output couplers. See, up to here the cavity ends. So this is your cavity. After the cavity you have a laser output. This laser output 1064 go through your harmonic generator to get the shorter wavelengths. So once you get the shorter wavelength, it also contains the fundamental one, because you cannot convert all 1064 into shorter wavelengths because it depending upon the crystal efficiencies. So it will always a fundamental wavelength in it. So now you can use you can see different colors of dichroic mirrors. So dichroic mirrors means it allows certain wavelength pass through and it reflects the other wavelengths. You can define what wavelength to reflect and what wavelength to transmit. Okay, so that can be those kind of mirrors will be called as a dichroic mirrors. Okay, di means two, chroic means colors. Okay, so these mirrors are designed for two color system. Okay, so one color will be reflected, one color will be transmitted. So now in this case 1064 nanometers will be transmitted through this mirror, and 532 nanometer will be reflected to this mirror. So this is again 532 nanometer mirror, you will get the output. And if this is called beam dump. So if you don't want 1064 to utilize, you can actually use a different pump, beam dump. See, now you see the beam dump also having a water cooling units. You can see there is a lot of water cooling pipes running across the your laser system, because you see your pump chambers are cooled, also your harmonic generation chambers are also cooled, and also your beam dump, because you are dumping a 1064 nanometer with a huge power, it generates a lot of heat, the material, right? You have to cool down those materials, otherwise the efficiency of the laser will goes bad, because the air get heated. So then your ambient temperature inside the laser will be raised, so then your laser oscillation, like laser cannot maintain a stable conditions, so you always see the fluctuations of the energies. So to maintain or to get the stable laser power, you need to cool down wherever you are generating more heats. Okay, so these are other variety of laser systems. You can design these laser systems into picosecond using a mode locking technique. If you use a Q switching technique, you can make a nanosecond laser. So in principle, NDIAC laser will give you CW lasing action. By using two different techniques, you can get nanosecond pulses and picosecond pulses. Q switching is a technique to generate your NDIAC laser system into nanosecond pulse laser, and using mode locking technique, we will generate your NDIAC laser system into a picosecond laser system. It's a pulsed picosecond laser system. Okay, so now these techniques we will study in the later in the sessions. What is the Q switching and what is your mode locking? These are the techniques to generate the like short and ultra short pulses that we are going to discuss in our the third section is generation of short and ultra short pulses.